Life is about shedding the darkness and embracing the light of knowledge. So let's get together and awaken our minds. Hello friends, thanks for joining me on the series of my videos on awakening the mind. My name is Dr. Akash Ahuja and I'm a psychiatrist here in Los Angeles, California. I've done my medical school from Maulana Azad Medical College in New Delhi, India, and did my residency in psychiatry from Minneapolis, Minnesota in United States. The topic I'm going to discuss today is mood disorders. The most talked about disorders in the world, to be honest. I mean, if we watch any movie which has Bollywood or Hollywood or even Tollywood, there are a lot of characters who are shown to have depression. There are so many articles in magazines and all that, and we talk about depression in so many spheres of life, that our boss has depression, or our wife, or the children, or the neighbors, or in fact we have depression. But it still surprisingly is one of the least understood problems and least diagnosed problem proportionately. So I thought that we'll be doing this video to educate ourselves more about this particular deadly illness, which doesn't only affect the individuals but the whole community and the society. So let's talk about the series. I've prepared a slideshow. So we'll be discussing about depression and mania. These are the two big mood disorders. So let's talk a little bit about the symptoms of major depressive disorder. Well, the people who suffer from it, they feel sad, hopeless and helpless. Whatever happens, they think that they have lost it. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They think that their life is kind of over and nothing is going to happen which can make them feel better about it. They have decreased energy, decreased concentration. They feel as if they have to make such a big effort to even get out of the bed. The things which are very normal and which they did all their lives, now they just don't have the energy to do that. It might be playing with the children, it might be watching a cricket game between India and Pakistan, which they always wanted to, but now they don't have the energy, don't have the concentration, and don't have the interest to do that. That's one of the classic symptoms of major depressive disorder. They feel guilty for everything. They feel as if it's their fault that they are not taking care of things, and anything goes wrong. Sometimes even in different parts of the world, they sometimes think that it's their fault. Their sleep is extremely poor. Sometimes they sleep more and sometimes they sleep very less. But the quality of the sleep is very bad. And they are very anxious at the time of going to bed. And they want to sleep, but they just cannot. They just cannot have a good night's sleep, which leads to their being tired the next day. And the whole cycle actually continues. And the worst thing is that sometimes these symptoms become so bad that if untreated, they can lead to suicidal thoughts, and these people do end up taking their lives at time. That's why it becomes extremely crucial to deal with it. Let's talk about now the totally different spectrum, which is the manic depressive disorder. If our normal mood is here, then depression is here, and mania is here. What that means is that in manic depressive disorder, people have racing thoughts. They might be having like million things in their mind on any given moment. They act very irrational. They might think that they are so supreme that they can even jump from like 20th floor and that will not do any harm to them. They might think that they can walk across a busy highway, a street, and nothing is going to happen. Even if they hit a car or something, it will not affect them. Their sleep is also very poor in a way that they don't need the sleep. Very different from the major depressive disorder, in that people quality of sleep is poor, but people want to sleep. In this, people actually have so much energy that they just don't need sleep. I've met patients who have not slept for like 4 or 5 days, and still they are kind of on the go, and then they suddenly crash. They take risks. They are involved in risky behaviors and dangerous behavior. If they have a lot of money, they will just spend it. They might like buy a credit card. They might buy like a car on a credit card or something like that, because they are not even thinking rationally. These people, because they are involved in so many risky things and activities, are a threat and danger to themselves. They can get into fights and they can hit other people also. Again, these are the two spectrums of depression, and they are equally dangerous, of course, obviously in different ways. Now let's talk about some of the causes of depression, and some of them would be genetic and hereditary. If somebody has depression in their family, then their chances of getting the depression is higher than average population. Social mishaps can certainly lead to depression in many cases. For example, if somebody loses a partner, somebody loses a job, they get into an accident, they get cancer, they get diabetes, all these big events can certainly trigger so much reaction, and it's a possibility that if they are prone to get depression, they might get it now. We have to keep in mind that a lot of neurotransmitters are there in our brain, and to name a few which are very important for mood stability are serotonin and norepinephrine. And in most cases of depression, these two chemicals, serotonin and norepinephrine, which act in balance to control the mood for the mood regulation, actually go down. And when they go down, they can cause the symptoms of depression. We should pay special attention in terms of children, adolescent, pregnant women, and also nursing women, and our seniors, because these populations are sometimes more prone to get depression. And especially adolescent people, depression might not occur as like or not look like people having sad mood, but it might come across as more of an irritability. So rather than just warding them off that, oh, they are just young kids and it's a phase, please pay attention that those tantrums actually might be a symptom of depression. Friends, now let's discuss some of the treatments for depression. This is the most important aspect. Well, a lot of research now has been showing that yoga, meditation, and actually exercising is very helpful in producing some chemicals in our body which can actually make us feel less anxious and depressed. Interpersonal therapy is something which has come up, and in interpersonal therapy, people deal with the social issues, the family issues with the therapist, which might be causing symptoms of depression. Along with that, antidepressant medications is extremely important part, and some of the medications which regulate the serotonin and norepinephrine receptors, which we talked about, are fluoxetine, sertraline, citalopram, escitalopram, and paroxetine. Apart from these, there is another therapy avenue which is known as cognitive behavior therapy, and I thought I'll spend maybe a minute on that. What cognitive behavior therapy does is that it deals with the automatic thoughts. Now, what are automatic thoughts? Automatic thoughts are thoughts which have no rationale, but they just come into our mind. I'll give you an example. Let's say a depressed person, and by the way, depressed people can think very pessimistically and very negatively. So let's say a guy is depressed and he goes to his work and he says good morning to his boss, and the boss doesn't reply good morning, or maybe the boss did say good morning and he didn't see it. Then that person might automatically think that, oh, you know what, my boss doesn't like me. Now, and then he can start thinking, oh, now my boss doesn't like me, so then he can fire me, If he fires me, I will not get a good job recommendation, I will not get another job, my children might be out of the college, I will not be able to pay the fee, my wife is not going to like me, she might leave me. All these chain of events get triggered by that single thought that the boss actually did not say good morning back to him. So this is just one example of how automatic thoughts can really lead to anxiety and depression. So cognitive behavior therapy actually works on that. I've added some of the resources here for dealing with depression. So what else can be done? For a person who is depressed, he should set some reasonable goals. Of course, if I'm depressed, I'm not going to get well within a day. Even the medications take like 4 weeks to start acting. But set reasonable goals, baby steps, as to what I should accomplish. I should meet a friend, I should meet a relative, spend more time with the kids. Even if we don't have energy, we should start doing those things and tell ourselves that, you know what, it's not me actually. It's the disease I'm suffering from, which is depression, which is making me act in this certain fashion. Participate in family gatherings, even if you don't want to, don't wish to. If they're pleasant, please go there. And watch a movie or sports or different things which were fun for you before. Try to watch them again. What can family members do? Family members also share some responsibility if somebody in their family has depression. To start with, at least they can not make the statements like you are fine, or just be tough, or we are strong men, and at least help them to see that they have depression. Be supportive towards them, encourage them to see a doctor, take the medications, and hence lead to their better lives. Friends, depression is very powerful, but we are more powerful than depression. Let's get some education about it. Let's at least acknowledge that it's a real disease which exists and which can really hamper the person and the community and the country, and then we can deal with it. Thanks for watching this video.